Have you ever felt like you're stuck in this constant, invisible competition? You know, like you're running a race, but you have no idea where the finish line is, or if you're even winning. Well, in this explainer, we're going to dive deep into that feeling, what the source material calls the quiet, lingering wound that gets left behind from a childhood full of comparison.
Let's just start with this question, because it really gets to the heart of it. Does that hit home for you? For so many people, home wasn't really a place to rest. It was more like an arena where your value wasn't about who you were, but about how you stacked up against somebody else. A sibling, a cousin, the kid down the street.
And here's the thing, those childhood experiences, they don't just magically disappear when we grow up. Nope, they follow us and they create what our source material calls the exhausted adult. So let's unpack the symptoms of this invisible race and see how it's showing up in our lives right now.
As we go through these next few points, I want you to just take a second and be really honest with yourself. Ask yourself if these feelings, these behaviors, if they feel familiar. Because you know what? Just recognizing it, that's the first huge step. So these symptoms, they're not separate things. They're all part of this vicious cycle. It often kicks off with what we call toxic perfectionism. And this isn't about loving excellence. It's about being terrified of being seen as just average. That fear then makes it almost impossible to be happy for other people because your brain was literally wired to see life as a zero-sum game. If they win, you must be losing. All of this, of course, just fuels this gnawing, chronic self-doubt, where that critical voice is now inside your own head. And what's the result? You end up overworking, overachieving, just desperately hoping that one of these days you'll finally feel good enough to take a breath.
Okay, so seeing the symptoms is one thing, but it leads to a much deeper question. Where does this wound actually come from? It's about so much more than just feeling second best. It's about how this constant comparison creates a really deep wound that's rooted in this idea of conditional love.
And this, right here, this is the absolute core of the problem. When love feels like a prize, something you have to win by getting the best grades or being the quiet one or being the athletic one, you learn this really dangerous lesson. Your worth isn't a given, it's conditional. And so you're always terrified of losing it, right? Terrified that one day you'll mess up and that affection will just disappear.
This constant pressure, it literally creates a split inside of you. On one side, you've got the real you, with all your quirks, your actual feelings, your own natural pace. But then there's the ideal you, this phantom version of yourself that was always held up as the goal. And to try and earn that love, you started chasing the phantom. And in the process, without even realizing it, you started abandoning your true self.
And here's the kicker. Even if you succeeded, even if you got the trophies and became the good one, it probably never really felt satisfying, did it? Because deep down, you knew the applause was for the performance. It was for the phantom. It wasn't actually for you. And that is the root of that deep, nagging feeling of being an imposter, even when you're celebrating your own wins.
And it's so important to remember that in a system like this, nobody actually wins. The so-called golden child, the one who is always held up as the perfect example, they often grow up with crippling anxiety. Why? Because their entire identity is built on being perfect. They live in constant, paralyzing fear of making a single mistake. Comparison robs one kid of their confidence, and it robs the other of their freedom to just be human.
Now, this brings up a really tough question. Why would parents do this? It's so easy to feel angry, and that's valid. But understanding the why can really help take some of the personal sting out of the wound. The truth is, it rarely comes from a place of malice. More often than not, it comes from misguided motivation.
They probably thought that by pointing out someone else's success, they were lighting a fire under you, inspiring you to aim higher. Maybe that's just how they were raised. They truly believed pushing you to compete was a form of love, their way of getting you ready for a tough world. But here's the disconnect. A child's brain doesn't hear "be more like them" as inspiration. It hears it as rejection. The quiet little voice inside translates that to, there must be something really wrong with the real me.
Okay, so we get the symptoms, we get the cause. That brings us to the most important question of all. How do you stop running a race that has no finish line? How do you finally step off the track? Let's get into the good stuff, the solution.
This quote right here, this is the turning point. Think of it as your new mantra. It's this powerful realization that someone else's journey, their wins, their timeline, it has absolutely nothing to do with yours. That's their story, you get to write your own.
So the healing process can really be broken down into 3 big steps. First, you have to grieve. You have to let yourself feel the sadness for that little kid version of you who just wanted to be seen for who they were. Second, you separate. You have to consciously, deliberately unlink your self-worth from your achievements. Your value is just there. It's not something you earn. And third, you rewrite. You have to become the boss of your inner voice, actively catching that comparison and replacing it with self-validation.
And if you take anything away from this, please let it be this. Life is not a single file line where everyone is judged by the same mile markers. Maybe you're a slow walker in a family of sprinters. That doesn't mean you're broken. It just means you were built for a different kind of journey. You literally cannot be behind on a path that is uniquely yours.
Look, your childhood might have been spent trying to be somebody else, but your adulthood doesn't have to be. What if you just gave yourself permission to really, truly believe this, that the whole competition was an illusion, that you are finally free to walk at your own pace? The race is over. You can stop running now.